Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jocelyn Boyd. I think I know everyone who's on the who's appearing virtually. I want to also introduce my colleagues who are participating in today's virtual procedural schedule conference, and they include Scott Winberg. Scott, would you say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm virtual.
Good to see you, Scott. Also in the hearing room with me are live stream producer Miss Melissa Purvis, and our WebEx extraordinaire today is Miss Gwen Richardson. Okay, everyone. So I would now like to begin with those who are appearing, the names and of those who are appearing and representing clients this afternoon. We'll start with Duke Energy Progress LLC. Would you please identify yourselves?
Yes, hello. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Kamal Robinson, also here with Ashley Cooper on behalf of Duke Energy Progress.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robinson and Mr. Cooper. We'll move on now to the Department of Consumer Affairs.
Good afternoon, Ms. Boyd. Roger Hall on behalf of the department.
Good to see you, Mr. Hall, and hear your voice. Let's move now to Nucor. And Mr. Smith, you'll have to tell me the correct name today.
Yeah, Nucor Steel, South Carolina.
All right.
Ms. Boyd and everyone. Good to see you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, last but not least, the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Good afternoon, Ms. Boyd. Alex Knowles on behalf of ORS, and with me today are Donna Rainey and Joshua Austin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rainey, Mr. Knowles, and Mr. Austin. Thank you for participating. So, y'all, I don't expect for this to be a long conversation, just a couple of things wanted to inquire of you. We wanted to begin with the hearing date and make sure that that's the best that we can do. If it is, it is. The September 6th hearing date that was included in Mr. Robinson's letter, and Mr. Robinson, I understand that you work with the Office of Regulatory Staff on the schedule that appears in your letter, no, the petition rather, excuse me, the cover letter for the petition for financing order. But just wanted to inquire of you and the Office of Regulatory Staff and Nucor Steel, Department of Consumer Affairs, is it possible for us to start the hearing the week of August 7th?
Ms. Boyd, did you say August 7th?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Boyd, I think to get to August 7th, we would have to have conversation with the ORS and the other parties. As you know, there are a number of dates in advance of that would need to be modified.
Okay. All right.
We were trying to stay away from August. I recognize the Commission's calendar is pretty chock full for August.
Okay.
And so we were trying to be mindful of as we develop the schedule. And September 6th is where we landed. But
okay.
Like us to evaluate further, I think we need to have some further conversations.
Okay.
Subject to what the rest of other parties have to say about that.
All right. Mr. Knowles, did you want to speak for the Office of Regulatory Staff?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. I generally echo Kamal. Yeah, we looked at the dates. Like Kamal had said, the Commission's calendar for August is very, very busy. I think from our end, August 7th to start the hearing would create serious compression in the pre-filed schedule and the discovery timetable.
Okay.
So happy to take it back, but I believe that it's something that we had looked at, and I don't think that it would work for ORS.
Okay. Mr. Hall, Mr. Roger Hall, did you have anything that you wanted to add as it relates to the proposed schedule?
I'm fine. We are fine with the schedule that Kamal submitted in conjunction with ORS, and I would echo what they stated about being tough just to compress. They're talking 2 months from now to get all the testimony filed and be ready for a hearing. I think that would be tough. I'd be happy to talk about it with the other parties, but
okay,
it would be tough.
All right, and Mr. Rob Smith, do you have any comments?
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I would concur with the other parties.
Okay. All right, well, I'm just asking. I don't think the chair wants you to spend any more time on the schedule. We did need to inquire though. So we're going to publish the notice with the September 6th date. I do have a couple of other issues if you don't mind. Ms. Purvis, would you display the document camera, please? Okay. The statute here. Oh, did I need? The document camera. I'm sorry, Ms. Purvis. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So everyone, I know you're familiar with this statute. It relates to the company filing, well, notice that's required. And it mentions that basically in my reading of this is a 30-day notice or letter of intent. That's how I interpret that, is not necessary in this particular case. That's my understanding. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about notice right now. This is where I'm going with this. So in the docket number 2022-256E, the case that the commission just recently issued an order on, this is the notice and it's published in the docket management system. It mentions that the commission's decision could result in Duke Energy Progress LLC requiring its customers to pay a storm recovery charge as a separate line item on the customer's bills. And then it's also mentioned down here about the charges on each customer's bill as a separate line item, that could be the result, ultimate result of the phases of these proceedings. Additionally, when the commission issued the transmittal letter related to the notice in docket number 2022-256E, the company was instructed and did publish in the newspaper the notice and provided notice to its customers. So I'm going to move now to, this is a draft that I'm displaying right now for the case that we are, the reason that we are communicating today about the procedural schedule. And basically, our draft includes the estimated charge here that's in the petition, and it includes some other information. And we will have to publish a transmittal letter, of course, similar to the one from the 2022-256E docket. But before we publish that transmittal letter, of course, we understand that Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress always request at least 55 days to provide notice to its customers in bill inserts. And I think some notice is required at this point for the 2023-89E docket, the petition for financing order. Even if we did ask the company to provide notice to its customers, I think the date that I calculated is going to be sometime in August by the time we finalize the notice in the documents. So I was wanting feedback, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Cooper, and other representatives on your thoughts about notice in this proceeding.
Ms. Boyd.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to give the company's perspective on a couple of things that you said. First and foremost, on the notice you referred to in the statute, I agree with you, the 30-day component, that is in the event that the company, or at least the audit of the underlying storm costs, had not been completed, which of course it has been done as you referenced in the docket. So I agree there. The question on the notice component on the 55 days, if it requires a bill insert for the company, that is still valid. I can tell you painstakingly how difficult it is to be able to even utilize the 55 days. Unfortunately, we do the best we can, but I already know what my team will say if we need to publish it in a bill insert, by within, early in the 55 days. I think that'll be problematic. Some other opportunities for notices, if it can be done electronically or on the company's website or something to that extent, or through newspaper publications, much different, but the bill insert component is always problematic for a 55-day piece. In particular to the question around notice and whether it's required. So as you indicated, we did publish, as you flagged, the notice when the audit of the underlying storm costs 2256E was entered, and we went through that process. Notification was given here. We were envisioning a notice to also occur once we obtain the financing order and before we actually put a storm recovery charge on customers' bills. So essentially after phase 2 is complete, and then we're in the structuring, marketing, pricing phase, that's complete. And then at least under the company's proposal, proposing the issuance advice letter process, laying out what the final charges are. That to me is when, customers are getting ready to, assuming the commission approves it, impose the charge on the customer's bill. And at that time, we had envisioned notice to be, of course, appropriate and needing to happen. With regards to whether a notice in this docket is we are essentially seeking to obtain the financing order to be allowed to go do that process. We were not necessarily directly envisioning notice being required from that. At the same time, if the commission wants notice, we of course will comply. But that was at least the company's viewpoint that really phases 1 and phase 3 would be where notices seem to be the most pertinent, but certainly whatever the commission decides, the company will comply.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Robinson. Let's see. Mr. Hall, do you have any comments? If you don't, that's fine.
I don't, Jocelyn. I mean, I do think based on just that provision alone, standing by itself in the statute, it does appear that the notice was not contemplated, but typically we agree notice is a good idea. It's always good to inform consumers, but other than that, I hadn't really looked into this issue.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your comments. Mr. Smith, do you have any comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Knowles?
No, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Boyd.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, that's really it. We're going to stick with the September hearing date, everyone. And we'll have this notice issued this week with the transmittal letter. That's all. I appreciate you appearing and participating. And we'll see each other soon.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.